Hi, I'm Charles Brothers from Tamaki Group Limited in New Zealand. I'm the Medical Applications Director for Tamaki Group, looking after or overseeing the compliance and fit-for-purpose use of our product internationally within all jurisdictions. It's my role to ensure that all of our product meets the jurisdictional requirements, and it's obvious that in 2020, COVID-19 and its unprecedented impact within the world has also impacted us in the way that we provide our products. Originally, our PPE would be supplied to industry and medical practitioners, but it's obviously clear that as time has moved forward in 2020, that the public are now using PPE. It's quite important to understand that there is a clear definition between industry, medical practitioners and the public use. And that use stems really from the application of how the PPE is used. It doesn't matter whether we're talking about medical procedure masks, surgical masks with tiebacks, or our surgical masks with visors and ear loops, or our respirators. All of them require a specific instruction for use, and those instructions for use have to be adhered to ensure that you achieve the efficacy of performance for that piece of equipment. It doesn't matter how good your PPE gear is. If you do not don it correctly, you will not be getting the effective use of that PPE gear. And then more importantly, once you have completed the tasks and move out of the danger areas, if you do take that PPE gear off, if you aren't doing that correctly, then you defeat the whole purpose of using the PPE gear. And I'll give you a quick example of that. And we see this all the time at the moment. Well, we do in New Zealand, and I'm sure you'll see it around the world. These dangling from rear vision mirrors of cars, where individuals are using them and then coming back into the car, hanging them up and using them again. That's not an issue per se. The issue is how you put it on and take it off. So when we put a mask on, we put it, fit it correctly, and here's your procedure mask. Brilliant. You use it. You take it off, boom, and it should go into the bin. If you reuse it, this is what normally happens. Someone goes in and grabs it. Immediately, the inside of that mask is contaminated. Wherever that hand has been is now imprinted on that mask. And now you're going to put it against your face. So if you've been in an environment where COVID could be, you could be putting COVID on the inside of your mask. That is not the issue of the mask, that is the issue of the user. These are the small things that we must determine. And the users industrially and within the medical profession understand this. They understand the following of the COVID regulations and requirements. They understand how the CDC and the WHO have determined the use of PPE gear and also how to don and doof that gear. What I'm going to do is go through a number of questions that have been asked from around the world, from some of our distributors and customers, and hopefully answer them so that it gives you a better understanding of how COVID impacts us in reality, outside of all of the technical information, the actual relevant information that you can use on a day-to-day basis, and the understanding of why we do certain things. They aren't just there for, by heaven's sake, they're there for reasons. So let's start. Our next question comes from Paul from the UK. Again, Paul, I hope you're well. I hope you're safe. We understand that the UK is going through the second wave, and our thoughts are with you. You ask, why are some masks better than others? Mask versus respirator versus face coverings. Interesting question, Paul. I'll give you a short answer and a long answer. The short answer is not, you should look at my other video in regards to masks. The short answer is that each mask has a different perspective for protection. So when we have a look at a medical mask is designed primarily for protection of the patient. and slowing aerosols down from being able to impact the patient. Respirators are designed primarily for the protection of the user and not allowing any other materials to come into the inhalation area for the user, regardless of whether the environment is protected. In this case here, this has got a valve, so that this does not protect the environment. This is purely for the user. This is an FFP3 N99 type of respirator, which means that it's designed for highly, I suppose, dangerous areas where there's a high level of contaminant at a very low micron level, and this slows down the ability for the user to inhale any of those small micron level particulates. But when they exhale, it allows for anything to be exhaled out. And what that does is it reduces the heat within the mask or the respirator and allows it to be a lot more comfortable, which means you can wear it for longer periods. The head straps do exactly that as well. The reason why these have head straps as opposed to ear loops, and there are respirators with ear loops, we have them, is that the head straps hold them in place when you do a face fit test and ensure that the respirator is in place and correctly in place during your period within the danger or hazardous areas. And then, of course, we have face coverings. There are no standards for these. So regardless of what you're buying, you must, so be obviously caveat emptor, buyer beware, understand what the face covering is. Is it a 1 layer, 2 layer, 3 layer? Does it have neoprene in it? Does it have cotton in it? Does it have a copper ion or a silver in it? Some sort of antimicrobial, antibacterial, I suppose, capability. How does washing impact it? So this here is one of ours, is a polyester blend cotton 3-layer mask or face covering. It has an antimicrobial, antibacterial layer in the center. It will last between 50 and 80 washes. However, having said that, of course, if this is torn, if bleach has been used, the antibacterial aspects could be deactivated. Very, very difficult to manage and control. As a matter of fact, Duke University has just completed a study whereby they compared a range of masks, being it from respirators all the way through to face coverings, including scarves. And they found that when individuals are coughing or walking through a cloud of aerosols, certain masks or face coverings are better than others. Surely the single use, which are highly governed and regulated, performed the best. That was understandable. So regardless of whether it was actually a surgical mask or a surgical respirator, the variation in performance by definition was actually quite low. However, having said that, cotton face coverings performed okay, but in particular some performed very poorly. So any fabrics which are fleecy had the ability to capture aerosols and carry them with them. So you've got to understand what I'm talking about here. We've got to understand that COVID-19 is small. It's microscopic. It's 0.1 of a micron. By definition, our hair is 70 microns. Our field of vision is 40 microns. And droplets or aerosols, when someone sneezes, the ones that you can see obviously are bigger than 40 microns, but COVID-19 will travel in 5 to 10 micron droplets, which are invisible to the naked eye. You cannot see them. You will walk through a cloud of these droplets and not know they're there. So when you've got a fleece, those droplets can sit on top of a fleece. And then they'll dry out, and of course, as you touch them, you may then contact transfer COVID-19 to your hand, and then obviously your face or other surfaces. WHO and recent studies have shown that COVID-19 can exist outside of the host for up to 72 hours on hard surfaces. Most fleeces now aren't natural fiber; they're actually a polymer base. So there is a likelihood that COVID will last more than a few hours on a scarf. And of course, the most important thing about putting PPE on regardless of any of the PPE, is how you put it on and take it off. If COVID is sitting on your scarf and you go to take it off, regardless of how much protection you've had through the inhalation process during wearing that scarf, it will be on the outside. And if you take it off and then it is transferred to your hands, you can then have it transferred to your face, and it defeats the purpose of using that PPE. But that also applies to any other respirators as well. You've got to be extremely careful about how you don and doof your respirator and your face mask. So, Paul, I hope that answers your question. There are definite differences between face coverings, and our opinion is that a regulated, controlled, certified, and conformed face covering, like a procedure mask, whether it be a type 2R or a level 2 or level 3, or a respirator, preferably without a valve, offers more protection and is ideal for the use within the COVID environment than other non-regulated products. I hope that answers your question, Paul. Thank you very much.